Hey everybody, welcome back to the video. In this one, we're gonna be learning about thread pooling. So before going into the video, I would appreciate you guys liking and subscribing the video, and feel free to comment. So let's go into the topic. So first, let's see what does thread pooling actually mean. So thread pooling is a pool of threads. The name itself says thread pool. So basically, it's a pool of threads. So thread pool basically manages those threads. So thread pooling is basically used when you have a bunch of threads and it's gonna cause a lot of memory. I know whenever you write the code, it's so easy for you guys to create the threads and everything, but inside the internal process is a lot, and the computer have to work the operating system, the hardware, and everything. So yeah, so that's why people use thread pooling. So to perform thread pooling, you have to import something called concurrent futures, and inside that you have to import the thread pool executor. This thread pool executor we're gonna use to create the thread pools and everything. So yeah, we have to do this, and then we can import time so that if you want to know the difference, you can see me import time in this video. So you may have to, and then write your code, which is basically your function. So you're gonna create a function and then basically write your code. And then this is where you have to create your threads and then create an executor. So first you have to create an executor. So first you have to have a variable. For me it's pool, as I gave an example here, and then have something like thread pool executor, which we already imported from here. So this from concurrent futures, import the thread pool executor. So that's what this thing actually means. So you're basically importing the thread pool executor. Then create your threads. So this is how you create your threads. First you have to have a variable, and then use the pool which you have, which is, for me it's pool right here, which is basically your variable name, dot submit. So submit is basically gonna call the function and then pass the arguments to work with that. So basically it's kind of like creating threads. And I forgot to mention, but this is also important, you have to have a number inside this. So it may be 2 or something inside the thread pool executor, because that's that many threads you wanna do. So let's say I have 10 threads, and then it's gonna do 10 threads at a time. So why I said at a time, you're gonna understand in a second when I give an example. So that's what you have to do. So you have to keep the number something, so that many threads should be there. And then coming back to the threads, you have to have a work one equals pool.submit, which is basically gonna call the function and then pass the value. So the first argument should be your function name, and then your argument should be right here, which is, if you have an argument you can pass, and if you don't, you can just leave it. So that's what thread pooling actually mean, and that's the syntax for writing thread pooling. And now let's see an example. So first I'm gonna do from concurrent futures. So from concurrent futures, I'm gonna import the thread pooling. So let me import the thread pool executor, and now I imported this. And now to show you guys the difference, I'm also gonna import time, and even you don't even have to. And now I'm gonna square a number, so that's what my function is about. And then I'm gonna take an argument called num, because I wanna square that specific number. And then I'm gonna basically sleep for some time, which is basically I'm just gonna wait for some time. So I'm probably gonna wait for 2 seconds to show you guys the difference, and then I'm gonna probably have a result which is gonna square my number, num times num, which I'm squaring right here. And then I'm gonna have my print function right there, and then I'm gonna format the string as string, and then pass my values, which is, I'm gonna say the square of the number, let me just pass the number value which they entered. The square of the number num is, and then I'm gonna type the number, the result, and then res, the square of the number num, and then is kind of thing. So that's what my function basically does. And then I created my function right here. And then this is where you have to create your executors. So first I'm gonna have an executor called pool, and you can have any name. And then I'm gonna have the thread pool executor, and then pass how many workers are there. So as you see, max workers, you can just type max workers just like this, or you don't even have to. And now I'm gonna pass my number, which is basically, I'm gonna just pass 3 executors, so basically 3 max workers. And you can pass any way, like this, or you don't even have to do like that. So that's how this thing works. And then I'm gonna have my work 1, which is basically gonna do the first thread. And then I'm gonna submit some work, so pool.submit, and then submit the value. So let me submit probably I'm gonna first call the function name, which is square, and then I'm gonna pass a value like 2. So that's what my first work, which is thread, does. So that's what the first thread does. So first, let me copy this part. So let me copy this full line and then paste this in 2 lines. So I'm gonna pass 3 threads right now, and then you're gonna see me pass more threads in later on this video. I'm gonna take the square of 4 and then also 3. And then I can even change this variables, which is work 2, or you don't even have to. Anything is fine. But to make you guys understand, I'm gonna change the name. And then we have our function right here. And now let me run this. So if I would run this, it's gonna print us the square and everything. So first we have a sleep right here, so 2 seconds. As you see, it gave us an instant. So it just gave us an instant. So that's how this thing works. And as you see, the square of the number 2 is 4, square of number 3 is 9, the square of the number 4 is 16, right? So that's how this thing works. And now let's see, what if I give more than 3 executors, which are basically my max workers. So I have one more max worker, which is this is the 4th worker. And now if I were to run this, so see the difference. Okay, so just wait for 2 seconds, and then it's gonna give 3 in an instant, and then wait for some time. As you see, it gave this a bit late, right? So if you want, I'm gonna run this for you guys again. So let me just make this run again. So I run this again. So just notice the difference. So wait for 2 seconds. It's gonna give 3 in an instant. As you see, 3 in an instant, and then the second one came late, which is the work 4. This is because even though you have 3 executors, it's gonna give 3 executors at a time. It's gonna give the rest executors at a later time. So there first space for 3 executors, the 3 executors after they go, and then the next people may come. So basically this is how this thing works. So there are 3 families, and then the first of families are max people that can go, and then the last family is probably gonna wait until they go, and then after the the last family is allowed. So that's how this thing is basically is. And now we can see some things that you can do with thread pooling. You can just print the result of the thread you wish, like by using the result, but you have to return the value instead of printing. So that's what basically you have to do. So you can print the result of the thread you wish, but you have to return the result. And then you can just type print the variable dot result. So that's how you can do. You can print if the thread is executed or not. So you can also check if it's done or not. So basically it's kind of like is alive, which I said in my before video, and it's kind of like that. So you can just print if the thread work is done or not by using the done function, which is already predefined. And then that's how this thing works. And then also finally, if you're done, like if you're done with all your program, it's a good habit to shut down your pool so that you may so that sometimes people just forget and then they're just keep adding. So instead, if you just want, I need these many, and then I'm gonna shut down my pool. So you can shut down, and then that's a very good habit. So first, let's see the result thing. So first, instead of me doing this thing, so I'm just gonna delete that and then return something like result. I'm just returning the result, and then I wish to like print the work 3. So I'm just gonna print work 3 the thing. So let me just print work 3 dot result. And then that's how you write the syntax. And then if I were to run this, it's gonna just give us of work 3. It's not gonna give us of any other these threads. So it just gave us of work 3, which is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So that's why 16 printed us right there. So that's how this thing works. And now I'm gonna change this to is done. So for that, I'm gonna get my code back so that we can understand if it's done or not. And now I'm basically gonna wait for some time.sleep so that to show you guys the difference, or it's gonna print as false too. So I'm gonna probably wait for 4 seconds and then print I'm just gonna print if work 1 is done or not. So print work 1 dot is done, which is basically done, and then that's it. So now if I were to run this, so let's just wait for 4 seconds until these both are done. So let's just wait. As you see, it gave us an instant and then true because our thing is done. So let's say I don't give the sleep value a lot. So let me just give this 1 second and then let me run this. So now I just run this. As you see, it printed us false because the sleep value is 1 and then here word 2 is still not printed. So the task of word 1 is not still done. So that's why it just gave us false. So that's it for this thing. So that's how done works. And sometimes many people use done because they would just want to check if it's done or not, so that depending on how much sleep time or how much they have to give and everything. And now let's see, how do you shut down your pool. So let me just delete this part right here. So after you're like done with everything and then you just time.sleep for some time, so let me just calculate how many seconds. So it's probably gonna be like 10 seconds, so let me just put 10 seconds right there, or to be exact, let me just give 11 seconds so that we can be careful on that. And then I'm gonna shut down my pool dot shut down, and then that's it. Now we don't know if the pool shut down, right? So for that, I'm just gonna use a try block, which is basically gonna add something. So let me just type work 4, which is work. Let me just type work 5 equals pool dot, which is this one. I'm gonna submit some values, so I'm just gonna access the square function and then have like, let's take 10 square, which is 100. And now let me just have an except statement, which is gonna be an exception. It might be any exception with this code. It's gonna catch it and then print cannot execute. So I'm just gonna just type that cannot execute. If you want to print the error, you can just type as E and then print the E2. So anything is fine. And now if I were to run this, so this is gonna basically work until the work 4. So let's just wait. So our work 3 till work 3 is done, work 4 is done, the pool should shut down in any second, and then this should probably print us cannot execute. So as you see, cannot execute. If I remove the try block, it's gonna give us an error because the try block makes the computer to not stop the normal flow of the program. So that's why I use a try block, so that my program does not get interrupted. So instead I can just use this work 5. So let me just show you guys that it actually gives us an error. So let me just delete this part and now let me just put this right there. And now if I were to run this, we just have to wait for a couple seconds. So it's been a couple seconds now and my 4 values are done. As you see, it gave us an error. As you see, track back most recent call work. This is the problem with the code, which is pull.submit square. Runtime error, cannot schedule new futures after shutdown, which is this a future which I'm creating right now. And then it's after shutdown, so I shut down my pool, which means anything cannot be created. So that's what this thing is. And that's it for today's video. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.